Hey guys, Creech Boo from Drop Dead Inc. again. Haven't done a video in a while. I think it's probably long overdue. So, and it's nothing to do with COVID or anything. I've been good all year, fully vaccinated finally, which feels great. But anyway, so I've been checking out some videos on YouTube, and I think informational videos should actually be giving like the right information. So I just wanted to kind of throw a couple of things out there. One thing I've been seeing, two things I wanted to cover basically is particularly like rotary machine or just machine wrapping, bagging in general. I'll tell you over this last year, probably since I put out a video, I've gotten quite a bit of new equipment. Kind of got into doing some wire cordless stuff. Um, so I guess I'll just show you a couple of these. So this is one of my new machines, my new pens with a little cordless setup on it. Um, no gloves, sorry. I mean, I'm not tattooing anybody. So, it's really important just to let you guys know, like, you really have to, like, wrap these machines, especially anything that's, like, wireless, cordless. Because when you're actually tattooing and you have to adjust the voltage, I will say that this particular RCA battery, I wasn't really too fond of it because basically you have to like double click that little button there and it like just jumps from volt to volt. Like you don't get any volts in the middle. And it starts at 5 and goes to 12. And basically you have to like double click it and run it through like the whole cycle. So you're like, I've never ran a rotary on 12 volts before. So, even though it's only like it lasts a second to go through the cycle, having your machine running at like 12 volts is murder on it. So I didn't really particularly care for this type, but basically what I do with like just anything like this shape is just cut it. You can use a clip cord bag and just cut a bunch of them, which I usually do. Um, and then like I'll just take a piece of clear tape. Another thing you kind of want to really watch out for, obviously you have to you have to twist the heads of pens to adjust the needle protrusion, not the stroke length. The needle protrusion and the stroke length are two entirely different things. And most rotaries, for the most part, unless they have some type of adjustment feature, are like pre-installed at whatever. Like this is a pre-installed 3.5 millimeter. So no matter how much I twist the head of this, it's still going to be a 3.5 millimeter stroke length. One thing I've noticed about rotaries with 3.5 millimeter stroke length, which is actually a good stroke length for a liner with a coil machine, but I found that like if you jump, like I have this other one here, this is another new one, um, and a square battery pack on it. It doesn't look too pretty. I couldn't really find anything. Like obviously a clipboard bag isn't going to fit over that big square thing, so I just use regular machine bags. And what I do is I try to get it as close to the head that has to turn as possible, and I'll take like a little piece of clear tape and just get it right down on that seam because you don't obviously want the bag over that seam when you're trying to adjust your needle protrusion as you're tattooing. So it doesn't really always, I haven't quite mastered my wrapping with this, but it doesn't really matter how it looks. If it does the job, that's fine. So I use just regular machine bags with this. And this particular pen is a 4 millimeter stroke length. And I noticed a huge difference in like my lining and shading with it. Like 4 millimeters, pretty much like if you're using a coil machine, that's like a pretty decent shader. If you want to, like, I'll show you in a little while, like color packers, you can get like 4.5 millimeter. But basically, like when you're using coil machines, like a 2.7 to 3 millimeter stroke length is pretty good for lining. Like a 3.5 is good for gray wash, and a 4 or above is pretty much like as I've been taught forever, or like color packers, but it definitely makes a difference, I think, with a pen. And I will say that going wireless, cordless does make a difference. It seems like the machines are a little bit louder with the battery packs on them. Um, anyway, moving on. So a big mistake I see a lot of people making on YouTube, in particular, when they're putting out information on, like if you have a cartridge machine, like this one I have here. And cartridges, even though they have membranes in them, and it's supposed to mean that ink won't seep back into your tube, but you still have to either completely sterilize. Well, even though I have this wrap, so I have these little mini machine bags, and I just wrap it kind of like I would any other thing. And of course, my clipboard bag goes up, so the only part of it that's exposed is that one little part right there. But what I see a lot of people doing is they run. Particularly any type of cartridge machine, whether it be a pen or this style, without a cartridge in it, and you can do like extreme damage to like the needle bar. I mean, you have that needle bar just jumping around in there loose. It's not actually hitting anything if you don't have a cartridge in it. It's kind of important to have a little beater needle. I keep them in my toolbox, but if you're setting machines or just trying to run them with anything, for demonstration purposes, you really want to have a needle in it, especially with any type of cartridge machines. Because what will happen, you see how like when the needle bar goes into that cam, so that's just a tiny little screw, and when that thing's jumping around in there, like you can seriously bend the needle bar itself, or plunger bar, if you will. I call it needle bar because that's basically what it is. And you can cause all kind of damage to your cams. um, any companies, like they'll tell you if you get any kind of information packages, like I know FK Irons, for example, they specifically say don't run their machines like without a needle in it. um, this I have to say, every time I look on Amazon, and I've never really bought much tattoo equipment from Amazon, but if you've seen like my first video, that kind of explains my introduction to rotaries. And every time I see a bad review on Amazon, it just makes me want to buy the machine. Um, and there's some people that just leave reviews that obviously don't know what they're doing. So this is this little. It was less than $50. It's a what is that? Oh, a red scorpion. And I just wanted to show you because some people were leaving these terrible comments about the performance of this. So basically, what I do whenever I get any kind of rotary machine is I'll take the cam off. There's tools right in it, or just get yourself a little metric tool set. Um, and I have this on 3.9 volts. And, there's people in there talking about how they blow them up and there's like parts flying off them. So basically, I'll take that cam off, put a little, 3-in-1 oil and just a drop. You don't want it to seep down into the motor at all. But on 3.9 volts, and that's pushing a 9-round shader, and that thing is like flying. Like I could probably even lower the voltage. So when you guys, if somebody's out there and they're saying they got parts flying off their machines or they're just burning their motors out, like I've used this quite a bit ever since I got it 6 months ago. Um, they're obviously running me on way, way too high a voltage. I don't even run coil machines on 12 volts. I mean, you don't need that. I can't even imagine. Like, I mean, you can, like, I push 15 mags on 3.9 volts. I mean, this thing's flying. And again, like, so I have this is all kind of bagged up. I have a couple more out here just to kind of show you, like the cam. This isn't a red scorpion, but again, basically the same thing. And you don't want that needle bar just rattling around in there running these without any kind of a cartridge in it. Here's another one, basically the same as that, but black. And I did kind of get this wrapped up because I got somebody coming in a little while, and I was going to use this. So again, you have to sterilize these tubes. You have to either autoclave them or use some kind of chemical sterilant. And I don't mean bleach or alcohol, like Maxicide, Maticide, stuff that you have to go to actual tattoo supplier to get. You can't just buy it in like your local drugstore. Um, so even though those cartridges claim that they don't seep any ink into these tubes, unless you're using disposable tubes, yeah, you have to sterilize that stuff. Um, which again, the bagging, it does add a little extra protection. And I found with a lot of cartridge grips, especially stock grips, like they don't really have the best grip to them. So just having a little bit of sports wrap on it, you can always just wrap it according to preference, get your grip thicker. So yeah, that's a big one, you guys. Like, don't run coil machine or rotary machines without a cartridge, specifically anything like these style with plunger bars. Um, And people always say, well, me and my beater needles, as I like to say, like I always have a spare, whether it be a cartridge or even when I'm using coil machines. Like I have, this is one of my Unimax ones that I have bagged, of course, with the clipcord bag. Um, so I usually keep, and it's good to obviously you want to whether I'm setting a line or a shader, like I'll try to use the biggest needle grouping I can. God, I've had this one for like ever. It's not plugged in, but so what I've found many a time is when you're setting a machine, um, like you can get the machine purring like a little kitten without a needle in it. And as soon as you put that needle in it with the weight of the needle and the rubber bands, like all of a sudden you just don't get nothing. This is kind of like my little pro set I got. That's my this is a Unimax Brass Star. This is a Unimax Apollo. This is my color packer, and that's like my gray washer, I guess you would say. One thing too, when it comes to coil machines, you see guys or people, and you can always kind of tell a junk tattoo machine if they have these really elaborate frames that look like pot leaves and all. So like electricity is going through basically all the metal on these frames. Um, and when it has to go through like just all this extensive, usually cheap metal, when you have stuff that look like anchors or pot leaves, not only is it like way out of balance because all the weight is on that one side, they're heavier, and they definitely don't perform. You just simple frame designs, like any good tattoo company usually just offers like the simplest frame designs, and they're lighter. This is about elaborate as I get basically with coil machines. Um, and that other one is basically an iron star, which is the same as this one, but iron. So yeah, and I just wanted to I was like surprised when I go on and I see that I have new subscribers. I'm like over 300 already. So thank you guys very much. I hope you guys are safe. Had a good year. And I hope I gave you a little bit of positive information today. So yeah, keep a beater needle. You know what I mean? Just keep something like in your little tattoo box. Um, so again, when you're setting machines, or certainly just you want to just plug it in and run it for a little bit. Um, you're gonna definitely do a lot of damage if you keep running anything with a plunger bar without a cartridge in it. Um, and you can like replace these pretty easy. Usually, like the ones that I particularly get, they have loops on them, but you can just snip the loop off and um, you know set the size accordingly. Like just measure it up to another one you already have. What else did I get? I mean, I've gotten so many tattoo machines. A lot of like I've been getting a lot of rotaries lately, like a lot of direct drives, kind of like the older style rotaries. I got this Kurosumi cherry shading ink, which is actually really nice. I only got to use it a couple times so far, but just a ton of stuff anyway. Hopefully, I'll be able to share some more of that with you guys as I start putting out more videos. But again, thanks again to my subscribers. Hope I gave you some information. Again, if you guys ever have any questions, I'm an old school tattoo guy, but I do want to help people out there, people getting into the business. And the worst thing you can do to end your career before you even get it off the ground is give somebody like hepatitis or HIV or something, just by not doing something super simple, like trying to just take the easy way around and not bag up your stuff. There's no way of like sterilizing batteries. You absolutely have to have that protected. So when you're running them, and you have to adjust your voltage, of course I'm not going to turn it on because I don't have a cartridge in it. um, but yeah, definitely safety is like huge. The ones that I actually wrap these with are just like mini pen bags, and they just seem to work. I used to have like a real tiny pen at one time. Oh, no, actually, I think I got these when I bought my first Cheyenne when they first came out. My $900 junk. Not a big Cheyenne fan. I would never buy another product from them, and I don't like throwing companies out there. Period, whether it's good or bad. I will say, and I'm not sponsored by anybody, but if you guys are looking for fairly inexpensive and really good quality coil machines, and I know they've gotten into selling rotaries lately. um, Unimax Tattoo Supply, like these back in the day when I got them back in these are first generations. They have like, so this is the first generation Apollo, and they have like two more generations out, which now are a little bit more expensive, but you can literally get these for like $50 now. And like these machines are run so nice and smooth. I mean, you can end up spending more money getting something on Amazon. You know what I mean? It's definitely not the same quality, and you're just gonna wait like forever for it to get here or get to your place. By the time it even arrives, it's probably been thrown around in their shop and banged around in the back of a UPS truck or however they get it to you. But yeah, I hear horror stories from Amazon, like ink spilling out all over the place when people buy ink sets, which I would never buy ink from Amazon, period, because it is fake. Even like their intends, you can just tell by looking at the bottle that they're not legitimate, inks. But if you get an ink set and that one bottle is broken, that whole set is contaminated. So you might as well just throw it away, or obviously try to get your money back. But yeah, like it's not a professional tattoo supplier, and I really wanted to emphasize that. They're just out to make money. They really don't know. They don't have any kind of technical support for people. So it's kind of important if you're thinking about getting into tattooing and making like any kind of a career out of it. You want to have like a company that you can call up and ask for technical advice if you need it, or it's going to give you some good customer service certainly, and get your orders to you fast. Literally, like I have probably three main tattoo suppliers. Um, they're all based out in New York. I live in Massachusetts. And like if I order something, I can get it sent COD. If I order it before usually noon, I'll have it by the next day guaranteed. You know what I mean? They package it nice. It's not just thrown in this little cheesy cardboard box, thrown around some shop by kids that probably don't even want to be working at Amazon. They could care less. So find like a company that's a good company, and their owners or the people that work there are like tattooists and care about the tattoo business. I think that's huge. But again, if you guys have any questions, my email is dropdeadtattoo0@gmail.com. And my phone is 413-329-0868, or, message me on this. Um, Hopefully be able to get out some actual working videos. Like, it's obviously I can't record myself and be tattooing at the same time. And, I kind of feel awkward asking people, hey, you want to record me? You know what I mean? So, we'll see what happens, but I would definitely like to get out some more actual videos working. So have a good one, you guys. Oh, and again, I probably put out other videos about this. Like even your soaps, you really want to have like your trigger covered, because when you're touching that trigger, again, cross contamination. If you have yucky contaminated gloves on, you're touching that trigger. That whole bottle is contaminated, and again, you can't autoclave those. You could probably use a chemical sterilant to do that, but I'll usually just bag it and just wipe the bottle down really good after with like light or Clorox disinfecting wipes or something like that. But as long as it's protected, and have a long enough of a bag that you can grab it and not worry about touching the whole bottle. So yeah, bags. They're not that much money, and you're going to save yourself like a world of headache in the future. I can guarantee you. Again, it takes one person to get sick. With social media and everybody likes to talk. God, and if it's bad news, it's going to go out quick. And once people hear that you gave them an infection of some kind, no one's going to go there anymore. Go see it. So yeah, maintain your stuff. Like even like especially with rotaries, like I'll do the whole take the cams off every probably 6 months or according to use. Yeah, give it like a little drop of oil. You can get silicone type of lubricating stuff, which is really good. But I just been using like 3-in-1. It's like an all-purpose. And if you're really worried about putting too much on, like what I sometimes I'll do is I'll just take a Q-tip and like kind of soak the head of the Q-tip and just like rub it around like that little post that comes out of the motor. And even with like my pens, like I'll just take a Q-tip again and get the like a tip kind of getting oiled up, and I'll just swish it around like on the inside of that a little bit. So when that needle or that plunger bar is moving back and forth, that's friction. It's metal on metal, and it's gonna, without some kind of lubrication, it's gonna wear after a while. And I see people on this with like $1,000 tattoo machines. You can tell they don't take care of them because they're like loud and obnoxious. Again, this is like $50, and you're like, seriously? And 3.9 volts. I mean, that sounds pretty good, and that's flying again. But yeah, I was actually pretty impressed with this. Um, so again, no gloves, but just demo. Um, so yeah, all right, be good, everybody. Thanks again to my subscribers. You guys mean the world to me. Seriously. See ya.